Imagine for a moment that your birth went very differently. You lift your eyelids to see a screen door opening in front of you, hissing with hydraulics. Instinctively, you walk through them. Where are you? Why are you? You have no memories, but you're brimming with knowledge. Your thoughts composed of languages you've never learned, provoked by a sudden genesis of senses describing a strange room. These thoughts can explain how you're able to see these things, from the biological blueprint of your eye to the laws governing the photons that enter it. Your origin is one of the few mysteries currently unknown to you. There is a glass tube you barely remember exiting behind you, and all types of machinery, but no one else in the room. Surprisingly, you are met with a greeting. Not by another, or some intercom device. Instead, you are greeted by yourself. Hey indie gamers, welcome to my first devlog. My name is King Devin Burke III, and yes, that is my legal name, and this is my work in progress title, which I've been working on for about 9 months at this point, and I want to share my progress so far with, I guess, anyone that's willing to listen to my ramblings. All the sprite work you see here is mine. There is some placeholders, and I may make adjustments as I see fit, but I'm really happy with where the character's at. I love having an 8-directional character sprite. It just feels really smooth to me. Even though it was twice as much work as 4 directions and made animating the spider suit a bit, I think it's worth it. Speaking of this spider suit, let's go ahead and talk about items. I spent probably about half my time coding just items or item-related interactions, because I feel like items are just so fundamental to this style of a game. Anyway, let's go over these cool gadgets that I made, or prototypes, as they're going to be called in the game. So let's start with this spider suit. So a lot of you might have noticed, but this game has some inspirations from the Nintendo classic Legend of Zelda, and it works very similarly to the grappling hook from the Legend of Zelda series, with the main difference that you have to point this directly away from the target, and you also have to charge your web, so if you want to go far anyway. So it makes it harder to escape danger with this option unless you plan for it. It's got lots of applications in puzzle solving, and it feels fun as like a mix-up for traveling. Which brings us to our second item, which is used primarily for traveling, or intended to be, and it's the Hamster Ball. It's the fastest way to move on the X and Y axis anyway, but it has a slightly nerfed jump height, meaning that you want to switch out of it if you're going to do climbing. And it's also got slightly different movement physics intended to make it a bad option on slippery surfaces and like small narrow passages. Except for whenever they're really narrow, in which case this can make Esereth even smaller, kind of like the alt form in the Metroid series, which this may or may not have been inspired from as well. Next up, we have S1R3N, a pheromone that slows down perception of time temporarily. Use in moderation, though, as this item has the side effect of speeding up one's perception of time shortly after using it. There's not too many puzzle applications to this item just yet, but it is going to make doing very precise tasks easier, and in any case, it's very fun to play with, and it lends itself to a strategic thinking, which is really what I want the focus of my combat system to be. I'm very hesitant to give the player character any sort of fast, spammable weapon, like a sword, or a semi-automatic laser rifle, because I don't want the player rushing into the fray or relying too heavily on one strategy of engagement. I really want them to think about their approach, like time their actions or set traps, which brings us to my favorite item so far, the Small Radius Singularity Bomb. This reckless item screams mad scientist, kind of the whole vibe I'm going for. These will be able to clear certain obstacles and deal massive amounts of damage to enemies. The area of effect is huge, and if that wasn't enough, it also sucks enemies in. It also sucks Esereth in. Honestly, your best hope of surviving this destructive vacuum is to just throw it immediately and run in the opposite direction as fast as you can. Last item isn't super exciting, especially since I don't have the room it takes you to anywhere near done, but this is the subconscious Everyvader, inspired by Willy Wonka's Greek glass Wonkavator. This room will be a visual representation of part of Esereth's subconscious, and there's going to be a very convoluted control panel with lots of buttons here that can take you to previous checkpoints once you figure out how to work the thing. This room will also be a hub of sorts and host at least 2 subconscious personalities that offer Esereth different services. For now, though, it's boring and empty besides the portal back to reality. Oh, and there's the low gravity boots that I've been using all along, but that's hardly an item. Other than that, that's all the items I have. I'll quickly cover some of the highlights of the other things I've worked on, but before I move on to those, I just want to say, if you've enjoyed watching this devlog, or if you're excited to see the progress of this game, you may want to subscribe to the channel and enable the notification bell. I'll also leave a link in the video description in case you want to get involved in the Discord server and follow the game that way. Now on to the other random stuff. 3-file save structure. Neato. Moral dilemmas. Rad. Pause menu. Kinda boring. Tech tree that looks like a periodic table. I'm actually pretty proud of this one. Unlockable user interface themes. Audio menu. I mean, whatever, I guess. Optional profanity filter. Yeah. Key rebinding menu. Item slots. Pushing piles of things of varying weights. Not particularly impressive if you don't code. Stacking balls on this Roomba thing. This Roomba thing. Writing this Roomba thing so long that you get dizzy and have to remap your key bindings. Clever. This minimize button that doesn't function. Hold on. This full screen toggle button. Wait. This close game button with safety dialog button. No, wait.